In April of 1992, Kirby's Dream Land was released on the original Game Boy. It was the debut of the Kirby series. Kirby wasn't even pink yet. Copy abilities didn't exist yet. It was overall a really basic game that really did not age well. My thoughts on Kirby's Dream Land for the most part are very negative. I already made a video covering it. You can click the link in the description for it. Or you can click the card. Is it gonna be up there? Or there? I don't know, I'm stupid. To put it simply, Kirby's Dream Land is a very simple side-scrolling action platformer game that had to work with very underpowered hardware. It is not the easiest thing to make a solid game under these conditions. As mentioned, I don't really like Kirby's Dream Land. I see it as okay at best. The series can only go up from here, right? The next year in March, Kirby's Adventure was released on the Famicom, and then worldwide in the NES later on in the year. This game was a lot more solid, to put it simply. It finally moved the series onto a home console. It had color, was a lot bigger of a game. In my eyes, it was the first true Kirby title. This game made the series look much better when you compare the impression Dreamland gave off. Honestly, this game was one of the greatest NES titles ever released in my opinion. It is really solid, a huge step up from where they were at. The game was received fairly well by critics, had several re-releases, and even had a full-blown remake on the Game Boy Advance. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. I grew up playing Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. I love this game. I remember getting it as a present when I was a kid. It was indeed a good Kirby experience. Looking back at the DS and GBA games, as mentioned in my last Kirby video, I'm not really a huge fan of the art style and gameplay mechanics in these games, but I can still appreciate them for what they are. Kirby games. I remember I even wanted to get into speedrunning this game at one point, but that never happened. It overall just didn't really interest me much as a speedrun. It is quite a popping game in the leaderboards though. I'll go back to talking about this remake in a bit. My experience with Kirby's Adventure. This is my experience with Kirby's Adventure. I collect retro games, but don't even own an NES. To be honest, I don't really feel a reason to. What NES games do I like? Kirby's Adventure? The Marios? That's about it. I have no background with this game whatsoever. But in a way, I kinda do since Nightmare in Dreamland has the exact same levels. I always wanted to get around to beating Kirby's Adventure, but never felt a reason to. It was simply a watered down version of the game I grew up with, right? Well, that's what I thought at least. Now that I do this YouTube thing, I actually had a reason to go back and take a look at this game. Nintendo dropped an NES emulator for Nintendo Switch Online, so I finally had a way to play this game through an official emulator. So, let's get into it. Ah yes, the famous title screen. I kinda wish this Kirby drawing thing was in the remake, but oh well. Quick note that the NES Switch Online emulation is fantastic, way better than Wii VC and Wii U VC. The colors look great and everything just feels right. It does aim for accuracy though, so there will be lag. Yeah, the lag. This game is one of the best looking NES games ever, if not the best looking NES game ever. Some sections like 2-2 look great. However, there is a negative to this. Lag. While the game is 60 FPS, it's still pretty laggy, just like Kirby's Dream Land. The lag is a huge problem with this game. It really makes some sections feel unbearable. If you cannot stand the lag, then play Kirby Nightmare in Dream Land or the 3D Classics version on the 3DS. The 3D Classics version is the definitive way to play Kirby's Adventure in my opinion. It's lagless. I wish they kept it like this on the Switch Online emulator to be honest. Aiming for accuracy is fine though I guess. It really isn't. For casual play. As mentioned, the graphics are nice, but do keep in mind this is an NES game. It's nothing amazing. Also, sometimes it's hard to tell what's a platform and what's simply part of the background. Hardware limitations are fun. There are these pretty cool scrolling sections. I thought it was kinda neat this could have been done on an NES. Some sections like Orange Ocean have a really cool aesthetic. And while for the most part the areas in this game look better on Nightmare in Dreamland, I do believe Kirby's Adventure is more creative and unique with the graphics. It's not the easiest thing to explain. To put it simply, I feel like Kirby's Adventure tries harder in the visual department. In Nightmare in Dreamland, it seems like a lot of visual assets were just copy-pasted. I could say the same thing about Adventure, but it seems like it happens way less. Let's go over the gameplay mechanics. Just like Kirby's Dreamland, Kirby can jump, inhale, spit, and swallow, but he also has a new move, the slide. Oh yeah, and he also can run now. Oh wait, I didn't even mention the biggest mechanic. Yes, Kirby is finally able to use copy abilities in this game. They are very basic though. You can only do one move with each ability, unlike the complex stuff you can do with them in the later games. This game also introduces the mix wheel. Inhale and swallow 2 enemies and then it will scroll through a bunch of abilities. Press A to get whatever ability you landed on. If you know how to time this, you can use it to get whatever ability you want. Obviously done quite a bit in Kirby speedruns. It's one of the main reasons why I grew to dislike speedrunning Kirby Superstar. Mixes suck. The levels in this game are a lot more drawn out and complex than they are in Kirby's Dream Land, and obviously the length of the game is much longer. This isn't a home console after all. Oh yeah, and Kirby is finally pink in this game. Ah yes, the real first Kirby game, not white blob for the Nintendo Game Boy. Besides the lag, there's another thing I really dislike about this game. The up button on the D-pad will make Kirby fly. This is extremely stupid. I hate how pressing up will make you fly. Extremely poor decision, honestly. The up input should only be mapped for entering doors. I accidentally flied a lot during my playthrough. It's way easier to press up than you'd think when you're simply trying to hold forward. I cannot stress how much I hate this. I thought maybe I could remap it since it was on the Switch Online emulator, but nah, I couldn't. After each level is a little bonus game thing, and as you can see, I never really took them seriously. The objective is to get to the top. If you do so, you'll get reward with a 1-up, and any lower, you'll get reward with points. I love points! At the end of 1-4, Meta Knight gives you an invincibility candy. It's called Hyper in this game. Alright, so is this dude an enemy? I seriously don't know what's up with him, and probably never will. You face Wispy, then head on to Ice Cream Island. World 1 is very short. Oh yeah, and just like Kirby's Dream Land, each world has a little cutscene thingy before it. Neato. There's ladders in this game. I'm not quite sure why they're needed in Kirby games since you can fly, but oh well. In 2-2, you get introduced to Wheel, probably one of the swaggiest powers. Breezing through stages with this in Kirby games can feel really cool, but you don't really get that effect in this game since it's so laggy. I'm guessing you can on the 3D Classics version. There are also these little mini-games scattered throughout the world, like this crane machine. They're pretty cool little additions. I love it when games add a little unneeded extra content like this. I won a Kirby. Or a 2-up. Another one of these is the Quick Draw minigame, which reminds me a lot of the Samurai Kirby minigame on Kirby Superstar. It's a lot easier for the most part though, I think. A lot more lenient. In 2-3, you face Meta Knight's minions for the first time. This guy is really confusing, man. There was also this small section I liked at the end of 2-5 that actually gave the high jump ability some use. After this, you fight Paint Roller, then head to Butter Building. Once you enter Butter Building, you get introduced to the switches. They open up new areas in the hub world, and you need to press them all to get 100% completion. If you push all the switches on both the main mode and extra mode, which is simply the regular game but with 3 less health points, you unlock the sound test. Besides this, you don't unlock anything extra for pressing them all, so I didn't press any in my playthrough. I mean, at least it's something. I might have actually pressed 1 by accident, but I didn't press any, okay? Don't you just love having to avoid enemies you can't even see? Yeah, I hate it when games do this. It's kind of stupid, and to be completely honest, the majority of the hits in this game feel really cheap. The lag, man. The lag. The museums. The museums are cool. They give you a free copy ability if you need one. You can enter these as many times as you'd like. I did end up using them a couple times in my playthrough. They're a nice little addition. There's also these dark rooms. You can use this ability called Light to brighten them. This ability is useless. I can see just fine. At the end of Butter Building, you fight Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright, and then head over the Grape Garden. You get introduced to Ball here, and it turns you into a bouncy ball. Not quite sure how I feel about this one. I'm pretty sure it can be pretty good if used correctly though. Also, Tornado is a power that exists that I'll never understand how to use. Another one of those powers that I think is good if used correctly. A small detail I haven't mentioned yet, I love when you enter a new world, the music from the cutscene continues to play even when you enter the first level. Small things like this are very nice. It reminds me of how the music would continuously play in SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, but for some reason it resets when you die and rehydrated. Why did they do that? Once again, Meta Knight gives you an invincibility candy and then you're suddenly fighting his minions. This happens many times throughout the playthrough. He's a very strange guy. Another thing I haven't mentioned yet is that if you experience a game over in this game, there's actually a punishment. You'll need to start whatever level you were on from the very beginning. You will not be able to continue from the last room you were in. Kinda annoying, but hey, it's a challenge. You fight Krakow at the end of Grape Garden and then head on to Yogurt Yard. I really don't have much to say about this world. It kinda just feels like it's there. You fight Heavy Mole, then head on to Orange Ocean. As mentioned earlier, I love how this area looks and the feel of it, even more so in Nightmare in Dreamland. It really does feel like one of the very few enjoyable water sections in gaming. Also in Orange Ocean, you'll run into UFO, which is definitely my favorite ability in this game. It is very overpowered. Yet again, Meta Knight helps you and then you fight his minions, but even worse this time, you actually fight him directly at the end of Orange Ocean. What? At least here he wants a fair fight, eh? It's then revealed that Meta Knight is a dark-colored Kirby. Huh. After this, you head to Rainbow Resort. The second level of Rainbow Resort is a boss rush tower. It is pretty cool, I guess. It's not as difficult as it may seem, though. You can take advantage of the Crash and Mike abilities you get from the mini-bosses. Also, why is Mike spelled like the name? Maybe a guy named Michael made it. You know, a Japanese man named Michael? At HAL? The lion boss at the end is pretty annoying though, I gotta admit. Once again, thank you, based Meta Knight, and this area is way too trippy for me. For some reason, when you fight this wheelie mini-boss, the wheels do not give you the wheel power for whatever reason. The mini-boss itself does though. There's this one room though, man. Man, I hate this room, it's horrible. It took me several minutes to get past it. This is by far the worst room in the game. Death after death after death after death. I think I even had 2 game overs here. The one successful attempt just felt really lucky, but I mean, hey, I'll take it. 7-6 is by far the coolest level in this game. It is like playing a mini version of Kirby's Dream Land. It's very epic. Everything also goes grayscale too, just like the Game Boy, which is pretty sick. Actually, it should have been puke green. You know what? Don't play Kirby's Dream Land, just don't. Simply play 7-6 in Kirby's Adventure. It's the same exact shit. Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned yet that this level is the final one. So yeah, after this you fight DDD. You know, the guy on every boss door, but for whatever reason you only actually fight him once. And there it is. That's Kirby's Adventure. Just kidding, that was the fake final boss. I've never seen a video game do that before! The real final boss is Nightmare, who has 2 phases and you use a unique power for it, the Star Rod. You fight an orb. The second phase is kinda hard and made me a bit nauseous, the background is really annoying, and yeah, now that's the game. Kirby's Adventure. The game ends telling you that everyone will sleep well now because Nightmare is gone, Kirby flies back in the Warp Star and puts the Star Rod back, and then the credits play. The end, there you have it. Kirby's Adventure is a retro game. Kirby's Adventure is a game that obviously can't hold up with modern titles, but it's still pretty good. And if you want to consider only the NES era, this game is fantastic. It really does push the system to the absolute limit, although as mentioned, there is a negative to this. You could see Kirby's Adventure as a relic of the past, but I see it as more. A relic of the past that's pretty good. Remember how I said if you cannot stand the lag, then play 3D Classics or Nightmare in Dreamland? Well, I take that back now. You have no option. You will not like the lag. Play either the 3D Classics version or Nightmare in Dreamland. The lag in the NES is just way too much. Do not make the experience worse for yourself. Lag is not fun. Lag is not your friend. I'm also missing my Kirby Triple Deluxe box. Can someone let me find it?